Welcome to SharpenTheHustle.com podcast with Jesse Miller. We're working hard is a given, but results are how we measure success. We interview successful business owners that'll help you sharpen your hustle.
Welcome to SharpenTheHustle.com podcast. I'm here with Jenny Meigs, and I love what Jenny does. She's got an incredible ability to help organizations blend together and work together and be in alignment. So without further ado, Jenny, how are you today?
I'm good. How are you?
Awesome. Why don't you tell our audience a little bit about what you do, how you do it, and how it could benefit them?
Okay. I'm a therapist, but I use a lot of psychological type tools. And I use it with couples a lot. Because I really believe that many differences and conflict comes just from the natural way that you're hardwired. So your temperament. So with the couples, I go through it with them. I don't just give them like a test. I do more of a self-discovery process, and they pick the best type and what fits them. So we're not reliant on an instrument. So I use that a lot with clients, and there's a lot of aha moments. Mm-hmm. And they realize that person's not doing things on purpose to irritate them. Yeah. So that really helps with couples, and it works really well with organizations too, helping people work together better.
You're probably your organization probably doesn't have any issues, but I've seen it in organizations that I work with where there's just personality matches that if you don't get them right, there's constant strife and drama. And I don't know about you guys, but I don't like constant strife and drama. So
right.
Tell us a little bit of the backstory and how you got involved in this. And I've had the issues. We've had some conversations about it. I've had issues with these types of tests in the past, either being too vague or too specific, and almost feeling like it locks you into this personality role that you have to play.
Right.
Can you talk to that a little bit?
Yeah. Well, I first discovered it's actually called the Kersey temperament sorter, and I was 15 years old, and I took it. And I was lucky and I got the right result, the one that fit me best. And I read it and I was just amazed that it just pulled all the strengths that I had and things that were really relevant to me. And so it helped me in different areas. And so I wanted to help others. So everybody who knows me has been fortunate enough to be tested.
If you hang around Jenny, you're going through it.
That's right. So I've tested people, and I've had my own little research project in my head. And so I've seen a lot of patterns with people. So I love it. And I've seen how it helps many people. And as far as I think many people take like the Myers-Briggs type indicator, and many times they get the wrong result. So they think that the test is bogus, or they don't feel like it really fits them, and they don't explore further. And so what I see is, like I said, the self-discovery process, it gets to the right result, and then they see a lot of benefit from it. And that's just very helpful.
What do you think are some of the causes that lead people to the wrong result as they're going through that process? And then also, we've talked about how there's switching or changing or development that comes along that. So how do you facilitate that? Because to me, that's where the problems I've had with it in the past have been.
So what causes them to get the wrong result?
Yeah.
Well, many times people say, well, I act this way at work and I act this way at home. And so I'm not really sure how to answer these questions. And so what I tell people is like, if you're right-handed, so your right hand works better than your left hand. It's smoother, it's easier, it makes sense. You're strong in that, in that area. So pick the choice that is more natural. But that doesn't mean we can't use our left hand or we can't flex and grow in that, in that area. So you're not locked in and this is what you always have to do. It's just a little bit easier and more natural. Other question that you have?
Yeah. The other part of it is if you got a result that you don't necessarily agree with, what's your process for helping people? And if you don't agree with it, it might be right still, but how do you help people settle into the results of the test?
Okay. Well, I ask a lot of questions. And so like there's 4 letters. So there's 4 dichotomies is what they're called. So introvert, extrovert. There's many misconceptions about what that is. And, people think that if you like people or you talk to people, then you must be an extrovert. So I break down some of those misconceptions. And I mainly just ask them questions. Because some of the letters, they're very similar. So like the J and the P, some people may think that they like things open-ended, and so they're P, but they're not as organized, which that could be the second letter is more intuitive and not sensory. But there's a big process that kind of goes along with that, and it can overwhelm people. So I try to simplify that and break it down. And with each type, there's a core need. And so I kind of show them some visuals of the core need, and they can really identify with that and pick which one fits them best.
That's awesome. Mm-hmm. Very cool. So that gives us a great background on where you are today. Can you talk us through the process of where you are in business today? So you had these as core drivers in you. We were talking about how you put your now husband through the process. So
yeah.
These are things that you literally believe and stand on.
It's true.
How'd you get to where you are in business? What's been the progression there?
Sure. Well, I just started more of a private practice type. I'm a therapist. Like I said, I treat a lot of couples and families. And yes, I did test my husband before we started dating. And there's not a perfect type for each person. But what I did is, in my research project, men that that were more mentors or that I was comfortable with and I really respected, they were a certain type. So over the years, I've seen that. And so I knew that I wanted somebody with that type, and it's worked out great. Almost 10 years.
That's awesome.
It works.
That's awesome. All right. So how did you get to where you are in business? What led you to going into private practice?
Sure.
What are some of the issues that you've seen that, or what propelled you to that?
Sure. Well, obviously I love to help people, and I love to help them grow. But yeah, I've worked in places where I didn't mesh well with a certain boss, or the environment was very tense. And there's an issue that we want people to be like us many times, and we try to make people conform to be like us because it makes us uncomfortable or we're not sure how to take it. And so I really wanted that autonomy to where I could do what I wanted to do and grow and not be hindered by some of those issues.
Let's talk about some of those specific relational constraints in the workplace. What have been some of the personalities that have created that conflict?
Sure.
And what could they have done to prevent that?
Okay. Well, with the different types, there's also different interaction styles. So there's an in charge interaction style. There's a get things going, chart the course, and be behind the scenes. And some people are very tactical and they want a quick answer. They just want to dive in and do things and be more in charge. Mm-hmm. And then there's some that are more behind the scenes and kind of need to step back and prepare more. And they're looking at the long term, whereas some people are looking at the short term. So people that are more tactical, sometimes they get really irritated when people who have a lot of questions, or they aren't sure about things, or they want to plan more. They see that as a threat to their, to their competence, really. Yeah. So when it isn't meant for that.
Right.
So that's kind of the main thing that I've seen.
That's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
There are a couple of coaching points that I work with my clients on are, as a business owner, you really have 3 sets of customers. And I think where you bring incredible value is the set of customers that is your staff. So what do you believe, how does this benefit a business owner and how they relate to their staff? If they can understand drivers, does that help them present information to them in a way that may be adopted easier? Or what are your thoughts about that?
Sure. Well, one thing is whenever people notice, I know with certain employees, whenever they feel understood, then they're more productive. And whenever they're placed in a role that they can flourish, then that helps the company, obviously. But each of the types, like I said earlier, has a core need. And like the catalyst or the idealist, their core need is meaning. And they have to have a purpose and like understand the big picture. Some that are more like an improviser or an artisan, they, like I said, they want to act now. And so just knowing how the other people have core needs, and trying to meet those or understand, then that can really help. And then see where their strengths are, to where you put them in the right place. You need problem solving, for different scenarios. So
that's an incredible ability. I mean, if you're going to lead, you have to show empathy and respect for the people that you're leading. And so if you can learn a couple of, not necessarily tactics, but if you can understand the core drivers in them, right, and it really helps shape your communication and I'm sure it helps repair division or even prevent against that. And as an organization, if you have more than one goal, you have division in your organization. Exactly. And so I love the blend that brings to an organization. So let's switch gears. Where do you see this going? Where are you headed with your practice?
Sure. Well, I love working with couples, and I want to continue doing that. But I would like to branch out and help businesses, small, medium, large, wherever that takes me. Wanting to continue to grow in my skills. There's a lot of knowledge, and there's people who've been doing this for 40 years and are still learning things. Yeah. And so I would love to go into businesses, do that self-discovery process with the employees as a group and then one-on-one, and really educate them on the process and what the core needs are, what the interaction styles are, and how we're all kind of motivated differently. And I think that could be really beneficial. So I'm pretty excited about it.
Huge. Absolutely. I believe 85% of success comes back to your EQ, your ability to connect with people and lead them. Honestly, business is progressing so quickly. If you can't build a team and you don't relate to people, you're constantly stepping on toes, constantly hurting feelings. And getting buy-in from your staff is just incredibly difficult. So I'm looking forward to opportunities that we create in the future to be able to let you get that gift where it really needs to be. So awesome. I'm excited about it. So you're pretty new in your practice. What are some of the biggest challenges you're facing today?
Really, at the moment, there's not a whole lot. I'm sure that they'll present them, themselves. There's just such freedom and having that energy not taken away from trying to conform to somebody else's idea, of how things can go. There's just a lot of freedom, and I can do what I need to do, right, and grow in my practice.
That's awesome.
That's new, but I'm sure that there's going to be some challenges, but.
That's the freedom of early stage entrepreneurship, and as you grow and progress, you got great people around you. So
definitely, that helps a lot.
Yeah, it's huge, and you're part of a great practice already. So It's awesome. Well, good deal. I hope you guys got some great information out of this. I hope you got some ideas on how you can better your organization. And if you don't have an organization, man, lay this foundation now. Start to understand these things, because you'll attract a lot higher quality individual that's going to be able to come in and actually contribute to what you're doing, and not just build people that are there to hang out with you.
Sure.
Let's get everybody in alignment. Let's get the organization moving forward, and let's go do it. Let's go make a lot of money. Yeah. Thank you guys for listening to SharpenTheHustle.com podcast. We appreciate you, and we'll catch you on the next one.
You've been listening to SharpenTheHustle.com podcast with Jesse Miller. To learn more about the resources mentioned on today's show, or to listen to past episodes, check out SharpenTheHustle.com.